Welcome back to the Adventures of Chris and Mike. In this episode, we're going to be visiting the historic Fort Meade Museum in Sturgis, South Dakota. Join us now as my good friend Chuck Rambo takes us on a tour of the historic Fort Meade Museum.
Unfortunately, the Indian victory had been so successful that the government redoubled their efforts to defeat the Indians. The government sent out more soldiers, more military hardware, and into the fall of 1876, the Indians are pursued so recklessly that the Indians do not have time to hunt. They cannot set up their camps. They cannot take care of their own families. The soldiers are attacking the families, the women, the children, the old people, and the warriors. And this for the Indians is simply too devastating. They can't stand up under this onslaught. In the winter of 1876 and the spring of 1877, the Sioux and the Cheyenne are devastated. They are defeated to the point where they have to begin to surrender by the spring of 77. And the last of the big bands to come in is the Crazy Horse Band in May of 1877, who reports down at Fort Robinson. Prior to that, General Miles has brought a sizable command in pursuing a large band. It turns out to be the Sitting Bull Band. The Sitting Bull Band goes north into Canada, grandmother's land, the land of Queen Victoria. And Sitting Bull believes that Canada will take care of them. Canadians do not. And so by 1881, Sitting Bull brings his band back to the United States. General Crook brings his command of approximately 1,200 soldiers out to pursue another large band. It turns out to be the Crazy Horse Band. Crook is going to pursue the Indians as the Indians would do, without wagons, with horses and mules. Unfortunately for Crook, it turns out to be a very, very bad fall with a lot of cold weather, a lot of sleet, a lot of rain. Crook sends a small command under a captain by the name of Mills to the south looking for a campsite. Mills encounters the Lakota village of American Horse. On September the 8th, Mills launches his attack on the American Horse Band, and very shortly, Crook comes on the scene. They devastate this small band of Lakota because they see in the camp considerable evidence that these Indians had been at the Little Bighorn battle. They have no more than taken the camp when Crazy Horse arrives on the scene with several thousands of warriors. And so Crook makes his retreat southward, being pursued by the Indians. But for Crook, it's a very, very difficult time because of the sleet, because of the cold, because of the rain. Crook ends up basically killing a very considerable number of his horses and mules to feed his troops. It's known as the Horse Meat March. And he brings his troops down to Deadwood. He's received in Deadwood as a conquering hero. But for the military, it's a great embarrassment because they have barely gotten off the frontier with their lives, having eaten their horses and their mules and having buried a very considerable number of their cannon, the caissons, the extra rifles they brought along, the cases of ammunition. Tradition suggests that those things were all buried between the area to the north and Deadwood. To all intent and purposes, though, by that time, the Black Hills are comparatively safe from attack from the Indians because Crook now is patrolling the area.
Stay tuned for more episodes of The Adventures of Chris and Mike as we continue our tour with Chuck Rambo at the historic Fort Meade Museum. And please subscribe to my channel.